After I posted the videos featuring my use of the Godox TT685s flash and the X1T wireless transmitter, I received some requests for a video detailing the flash settings. So I'm going to cover that in this quick video. And I'm also going to show you how to use the X1T wireless transmitter as a controller for the flash. To use the flash on a Sony, at least on the alpha models, I set the camera's flash mode to fill flash, even if I'm using flash in ways that wouldn't be considered fill flash. Now let's start with the TT685's LCD panel, buttons, and menu controls. We're going to flip the on-off switch to on, and you'll see that these top buttons serve as function buttons for the menu choices at the bottom of the screen. This is the test button, this is the mode button, and this is the wireless selection button to select the type of wireless communications. That would be either optical or radio. The flash is currently in TTL mode as a standard on-camera flash, and if I press the wireless selection button, I can get the following wireless modes. This is optical wireless master, where the flash acts as a master controller to other remote flashes via light pulses. This is optical slave mode, where the flash is able to be controlled by a master controller using those light pulses. And this is radio wireless master, where the flash acts as a master controller to other flash units via radio signal. This is radio slave, where the flash can be controlled by a master controller using radio signals. Now, I recommend that you stick to radio wireless. Don't use optical. The optical wireless feature didn't work for me on a Sony a7 III, and even the Godox manual seems to indicate that there are limitations with optical wireless. Specifically, a Sony brand flash has to be in the mix if you want to use this feature. Now let's take a look at the mode button selections. We're currently in TTL mode, which means the flash will coordinate with the camera to get good automatic exposures. Function button 1 highlights the zoom setting. I can adjust it with the select dial. M stands for manual selection, and A stands for automatic. Now, automatic detects the closest zoom to match the lens attached to the camera. Function button 2 highlights the power setting. Really, in this case, it is the flash exposure compensation setting. I can adjust it with the select dial, and this will give me a range from -3 stops to +3 stops of compensation. Function button 3 is blank, and function button 4 allows you to turn the high-speed sync on or off. When I press the button, I can switch to manual mode. Function button 1 here highlights the zoom setting, and again, I can adjust it with the select dial, and I can either use manual selections or put it on automatic. Function button 2 highlights the power setting, and I can adjust it with the select dial. Function button 3 is blank, and function button 4 allows you to turn the high-speed sync on or off. When I press the mode button again, it gives me a final mode of multi, which is what you'd use for stroboscopic flash. Now, I never use this flash effect, so I'm not going to cover it here. Using the flash on camera is pretty straightforward, especially if you're using it as a single TTL on-camera flash. You just take photos, and if a shot is turning out too dark, dial in some extra flash exposure compensation to lighten it up. If the shot is turning out too bright, then dial it down with that same flash exposure compensation setting. Now let's get the flash set up for off-camera use. Now there are a few simple ways to do this. One requires at least 2 flash units. One is going to act as your master flash controller from the camera position, and another way to do this is to use a dedicated wireless transmitter to control remote Godox flashes. So let's start with using the flash as a master controller. Again, we're going to skip the optical master option because it's not going to work in this type of setup. Radio is the right choice here, so we select radio master as our option. On the display panel, you're going to see the letter M. This represents this master unit. And the letters representing the A, B, and C groups of flash units is also shown. Alongside of each of these groups is the mode of the flash units in that group and their power setting. In the case of TTL, you're going to see their FEC, or flash exposure compensation setting, on the flash units in that group. Now you can use any or all of the groups if you like, and you can have one or more flash units in each of those groups. But in this case, I'm only assigning one remote flash to group A. Function button 1 is to control the flash zoom on this flash. Function button 2 is to activate the high-speed sync, which will kick in at shutter speeds over the camera's native flash sync speed. On the Sony a7 III, that would be 1/250th of a second. Function button 3 is for selecting the communications channel from 1 to 32, and I'm going to use channel 1. Function button 4 is for selecting the group that you'd like to make adjustments to. I'm going to set my remote flash up so that it's in group A. I'll switch my wireless mode to radio slave. Function button 1 here is to control the zoom. Function button 2 is blank. Function button 3 is to assign this flash to a group, and I'll make sure it's assigned to group A. Function button 4 is for selecting the communications channel. I'm leaving it on channel 1 because that's what we're using in this setup. The mode button on this remote flash allows me to initially set the flash to operate on TTL, manual, or multi-mode. And I'm going to leave it on TTL for now. At this point, I can just start taking photos and the flashes will be in sync. I can add more remote flash units to group A or one of the other groups if I want to have different flash power outputs for different areas of the scene. All right, here's some other options. If I only want the remote unit's flash to affect the exposure, I can turn off the flash output of this master unit by selecting the group for the master unit and selecting the mode for this unit to be off. That's what this dashed line means. I can select the group on the master and adjust the flash exposure compensation for the remote flash from here. I can change the remote flash to manual mode from here too and adjust its output from full power all the way down to off. Or I can just have the flash not fire. As a personal preference, I usually don't like to use flash from the camera position. So if I were going to control a remote unit with a flash on my camera, I'd probably have the flash on my camera set not to fire. That means I'm only using this flash unit as a master control unit, which is a waste because I'd rather use this flash as another light in my scene. So I can take this flash off my camera and make it another remote flash. And I can control both flashes now with a wireless flash transmitter. And I can do that with the X1T. In my case, this is the X1TS for Sony. Now this is simple to use. You can control groups A, B, and C with it in much the same way as we did with the flash unit as a master. Now, by the way, there's an updated version of this trigger that's going to be released soon. And when it comes out, I will try to do a walkthrough or a review on that. All right, now let's say we assign one of our TT685s as part of group A. We'll say this flash in group A is our key light. Now we'll make the other flash as part of group B, and we'll say that this flash in group B is our hair light. If I had more flash units, I could assign them to group A or B alongside one of these flashes, or I could put them in group C. I can add more flashes to any of these groups, and if I added a flash to group C, then use that flash as background flash, I could actually control the background lighting independently of the subject's key light and independently of the hair light. In each of these groups, I can control the flash mode, TTL or manual, and I can control the power or FEC, the flash exposure compensation. I can even turn off all the flash units in any of the groups if I want. We turn on the unit with this switch. Now the other switch here is for turning on focus assist. This is a focus assist beam which may or may not work with your camera. Now I don't use it, so you'll have to do some research to find out if there's a way to make it work with your camera. To control a group, press the group button to select the group. To control that group's mode, press the mode button. And to control flash output for the flash units in that group, use the dial. The communications channel can be changed with this button, and this is also the OK button, which you can press to finalize your selections. A test firing button is on top, and so is the status light. Hey guys, I hope this video was helpful. Go ahead and click that thumbs up button if it was. Make sure you subscribe and leave a comment. Thanks for watching.